Welcome, I'm Lizzie Brooks and this is Slow Flow, so come on and join me on your mat. So all that you'll need for this practice is a towel or a blanket. And you can sit on that if you'd like as we begin. Place the hands just gently on the legs, lengthen the spine, take a deep breath in. Let that go through the mouth. And do that one more time. Inhale fully and release. Bring the hands together to your heart center and set an intention for today's practice. So something that's really attainable. Maybe it's just a little more calm, more focus, more breath. And take a deep inhale once more with that intention filling your body. This time breathe out through the nose. Let the eyes open if they were closed. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, take the left hand down, reach over through the right. Open that side body. Inhale, reach up through center and go directly to the other side. You don't have to lower or bend that, you don't have to bend that lower elbow, but it can if it wants. Inhale up through center, one more time each side. And back to the other side. Inhale all the way up, interlace the fingers, press the palms away, take itty bitty twists, getting into the shoulders, thoracic spine a little bit more, clearing up some space for the lungs. Inhale, center, and exhale, float your arms down. Roll the shoulders around and back a few times. And we'll come into an all fours position. This is where your padding might come in and feel nice under your knees. So you can add that on if you like. Come to an all fours position. And we'll just do some rounding. So drape your tail, drape your head, open the back body. And then slowly reverse that, lifting the pelvis up and the heart up any amount. One more time, press into the floor as you exhale, open behind the heart, draw the core muscles, draw the organs towards the spine, because the core is like a core of an apple, not just the surface, not just the front of the body. And come back to an all fours position. Let's transition into our first downward facing dog. So tuck the toes and go there really slowly with not a lot of expectation. Let the head hang down, alternately bend one knee and the other. Opening through those hamstrings that can be a little cranky sometimes, and that makes total sense. They do a lot of hard work for us. And then take a deep inhale in your downward dog. Exhale, slowly lower to the knees. Inhale in all fours. Exhale, child's pose. Walk the hands a little further forward and get a nice stretch through the spine and the side body. Use your inhale and then sigh that out. Rise back to all fours, tuck the toes under, exhale, downward facing dog. This time we'll root our palms down and let our right leg rise up. Now you can draw a circle here, you can bend the knee or keep the leg straight, you might stack the hips. So I want you to make this your own practice and always make these your own practice and just find some movement into that hip joint while you're in this sort of upside down position. What do you need? And then from wherever you are, we're going to cross that right leg and let the toes land to the left side of the left foot. Breathing here, and if you want, press your heart back through to the legs a little bit more. The legs are crossed. Now, you'll probably feel something happening on the left side, that IT band, left side of the glutes. That's good. Let that open. Breathe it. Let the right leg rise back up. We'll come into a hanging plank. Round the spine, hug the knee towards the forehead, press into the floor like you did in your cat pose. Go back up with that right leg, three-limb dog, and exhale, right leg down. Let's do that on the left side. Root the palms, let the left leg rise up, and maybe you're stacking, bending, circling. It's a real exploration because our bodies change from day to day. And we don't exactly know what we're going to need. So be curious about it and then feed into it as it feels right for you. What you need on one side might be different than the other because none of us are totally symmetrical. And then we'll go ahead and cross the right toes to the outside, left toes to the outside of the right foot. You can press your heart through a little more to get more stretch. And take your sitting bones not off to the right, but more straight back behind you. Breathe the stretch, breathe through the IT band, glutes. Left leg rises up. And then we'll hug that up and in for our hanging plank. Even lift the ankle high to the sitting bones as you round the forehead to the knee. 3-limb dog, left leg reaches. Take that left foot down. Now widen your stance to the outer edges of your mat and slowly back into the IT bands and hamstrings. We'll take ourselves side to side. It's not generally the IT bands that are getting the most of the stretch, it's the structures around the IT bands, which therefore help the IT band. And from here, we're going to walk back into a Lolasana. So our heels are going to turn in roughly 45 degrees, toes are going to turn out. You might want to take your blanket and put that under your heels if your heels are lifted so that you can actually put weight into the heels. You can also do this sitting on a block or whatever you have handy, or even sitting on a chair or a stool. Use your elbows maybe to open a little bit wider in the hips. If that's not accessible, don't do it. Deep breath in, sigh out. We're gonna go a little bit in and out and really feed into the hips here. So fingertips down. You can always use blocks. Lift the hips, turn the toes forward, fold any amount or be in your half fold. Turn the toes out, come into your squat. Hands can stay down or back to the heart. Fingertips down, lift the hips, toes forward, fold any amount. Torso rises a little bit as you rotate the toes out and come back into Lolasana. Just one more time through that. Really good for the hips and the hamstrings, lubricating those deep, large joints. Fold down any amount. Rise up a little bit with the torso, turn the toes out, come back into that Lolasana. Now you have an optional twist here. Fingertips, your right fingertips are down on the floor, left arm reaches up or hand to the waist or even to the knee. Breathing here, expansive through the chest. Let the belly be pretty relaxed here. Come back to your center. If you took that twist, maybe going to the other side, left fingertips down. They're in front and to the side of that left knee. Right arm might reach up or hand to the waist or the knee. Inhale. Exhale, back to center. Last time we'll do the transition of fingertips down, hips up, toes turn forward. Now from here, we're gonna go in and out of a wide-footed chair with the fingertips down on the floor, really working the legs here. So you're gonna bend the knees, hinge the hips back, and come back to half fold or a little more of a fold, back and forth. Getting into those quads, and creating a little more heat with this. Wake up the inner thighs even a little bit here too. They like to have the quads do all the work. Let them do some. And then pause here. Take your arms forward to the sides or back. You're in a chair pose, but your torso is forward. And then loop your shoulder blades wherever you are, more on the back, and lift your torso off of the thighs about 1/2 inch. Then lift your organs internally towards the spine, away from the thighs as well. Inhale here. Exhale, fingertips almost touch the floor, and then slower than you want to go. Use this transition for strength. You'll slowly reach forward and up as you straighten the legs. And bring your hands to your heart. Deep breath in. And shake off any clutter. Come on to the top of your mat. And we're going to do some tap backs, which is going to work a little bit of balance, core, hips, and train us for where we're going. So bring your hands to your waist, bend your knees back into a chair pose, but the hips are higher than they were before. Tap your right toes back, come into chair. Tap your left toes back, come into chair. Told you it was balance. Right back and chair. Left back and chair. Okay, so we're gonna change it. This time, the arms are gonna come forward as the right leg comes back, and then you're gonna make a fist and pull in with the underside of the forearms up as the foot comes back. Reach forward as you tap the left toes back, and draw in as you bring the foot forward. So stay with it at the pace that feels good to you, reaching forward as you tap back, drawing in as the foot comes forward. Reach, draw in, reach, draw in. Okay, now go ahead, reach and find a lunge. Now widen your stance a little bit here, and now lift the arms and the torso up. Turn your palms forward, draw the elbows back, and lift the sternum any amount into your high lunge. Breathing here into your warrior one variation. Neutralize the spine as the arms lift. Exhale, bring your hands to your waist, lean forward, and use the same transition as before to step forward. This time, we're going to press the hands back and come to stand or come to heels lifted stand. Lower the heels, lower the arms. Press back as the heels lift. Lower the heels, lower the arms. One more time, heels lift, press back. And lower the heels, arms by the side. Shake that out. We'll be ready for the next side. Bring your hands to your waist. Bend your knees. Take the left leg back. Again, widen your stance wide enough that you feel really balanced here. And then as you're ready, we'll go ahead and reach the arms up. Turn the palms forward. Elbows draw back. Lift the sternum. So hopefully you're allowing a stretch to come into the front of the hip without collapsing at the lumbar. Breathing here, any amount of the tilt of that sternum up. Inhale, reach. And then exhale, lean forward. And then again, you can bring your hands to your waist here, or you can bring them to the waist as you step the back foot forward. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, we'll fold down. Inhale, rise halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale to your fold. Step back into your plank pose or knees down plank. Breathe here. You can hold this pose or you can take a vinyasa of your choosing. If you're newer to that, then you might watch. Rocking the heels forward, lowering halfway down would be chaturanga here, or all the way to the floor. Shoulder blades back, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. You want that transition from up dog to down dog to be derived from the core. Deep breath in and sigh out. So we're gonna lead from where we've been. So walk the left foot a little bit in, raise the right leg up, cross the right leg over to the left side, down, back up, hug in and round in your hanging plank. And now seal the right foot down, left foot comes over to the left. Leave the left palm or fingertips down or use a block as you raise the right arm up. Shoulder blades onto the back, breathing here in your twist. You might be on the knees here if you want more of a stretch in the front of the left side of the pelvis rather than working the quads more. Inhale is here. Exhale, right hand comes down. Back into three-limb dog, right leg reaches. Now from here, you can lower that right foot down and stay in down dog, go to child's or second vinyasa. Plank, heels rock forward, chaturanga, cobra or upward facing dog. You can skip these. Exhale from the core, downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in and sigh that out. Right foot walks a little bit over to the left leg reaches. Take the left toes down and over to the right side of the right foot, then right back up into the sky. Hug in for hanging plank, left knee towards forehead, and then left foot down. Widen your stance here, right hand or palm down on the floor or block, left arm wraps around for the twist. So make sure you're not kind of swaying your hips out to the side, but drawing that left hip a little further back, looping the shoulder blades onto the back. Back knee can come down or stay up. Inhale. Exhale, left hand comes down. Take it back, three-limb dog. Back to downward dog, hanging out here, or add your slow vinyasa. So if you have a tendency to whip through these, take your time. You'll actually get stronger the slower you go. From here, we'll go back to where we were, that Malasana. Turn your heels in and your toes out. Start to walk your hands back towards your feet, bend the knees, and come into that Malasana. Wiggle out through the hips, any amount here. Optional, crow or crane pose. If you're not taking those poses today, either put a pose in that you like, or a forward fold maybe, or come into your open twist, or stay here. Hands down, lift the hips. You're gonna walk your knees closer in and your hands closer in, so you're making more of an X shape at the front of the shin, top of the knee. Then you might even put a blanket in front of you to help with fear. There's a weight distribution that you move the weight forward. The shoulders come past the wrists. Then draw the core musculature in and up like you did in hanging plank. Toes come together and then hug in and up. The arms can be straight for a crane or bent for a crow. And then coming back down into your Lolasana. If you didn't do that pose today, who cares? Let it go. Walk from here into your downward facing dog. Keep the toes out and the heels in. Press your heart through your arms more than you normally would to get a back bend and a shoulder stretch. And now press the outside of your feet down so you're getting a stretch to the outside of the legs. Then come pigeon-toed. Turn your toes slightly in and your heels slightly out. It doesn't have to be much because this is a shape we don't make very often in the hips. So it doesn't have to be much to be impactful. Breathe here. Then turn the toes forward, look forward, and step or hop your feet to your hands. Inhale, rise halfway up. Hands might glide the shins, maybe bend the knees. Exhale, fold. And then choose how you want to rise and come hitting the wall. Come all the way up to standing and bring your hands to your heart. Take a deep breath in and shake off any clutter from here. We're going to open our feet wide and take ourselves into a little bit of a bend in one knee and the other, side to side. Just like we don't have a care in the world. And keep it slow and soft. And then choose one side. I'm gonna go over to what would be your left. And I'm going to interlace my fingers onto that thigh and breathe here. Toes and knee pointed the same direction. And I'm gonna stretch the inside of my opposite leg as I really work my bent knee leg. And then other side. Go ahead and bend the other knee. Straighten the other leg, get active there, and just breathe. It's a lot, so we have to make sure we're not holding our breath here. And then from here, we're gonna change that up. So come up to standing, turn one set of toes where you started, and externally rotate. So you probably know where we're going. We're gonna go into our warrior two legs. So we prepped the inner thigh with the stretch, and we prepped the blood flow for the work. So come into warrior two, and you can either come into side angle, warrior two, or side angle, with the forearm down, or maybe the fingertips are coming in front or behind that front foot with a block or not. Top arm might be up, like you did in your twist. Breathing here. And the gaze doesn't have to be up, so if that bothers your neck, don't worry about that either. Very slow transition back up to warrior two if you weren't there. And then straighten that leg. We're going directly to the other side. So just go ahead and turn your toes out. Find that kind of warrior two situation, externally rotated, internally rotated. And then from here, maybe you're coming down to your side angle with the forearm down, maybe fingertips inside or outside. So play with them. So I'm gonna go to the behind, I'm gonna go, that's too much today. My hips are too tight. I'm gonna go to the inside, okay? Breathing here, top arm might be up. Make sure your neck feels safe. You can take the gaze wherever it needs to be. Back to warrior two, and then straighten it all out. So I'm gonna scoot back a little bit here. Inhale, reach up. We're gonna come into a wide-legged fold. As you exhale, fold down and sway a little bit side to side. Really loving on your hamstrings. Mine are feeling extra tight today because of the glute and hamstring work I did yesterday, so this is a nice compliment. Hope it is for you too. And then we'll go back into now external rotation, but this time both hips are externally rotated. So look down, fingertips are on the floor, look side to side. Make sure knee and kind of second toe are pointed in the same direction, and then rise up. Hands can start on the thighs here, or they can stay there. Maybe you're staying here, maybe hands come to the heart. Optional lift and lower of the pelvis, Working into those legs, building some heat. If you want more, you'll take the arms up for this. Up and down. And you'll root through not just the ball joints of the feet, but into the heels. The more you press down into the heels, you'll probably feel the groin getting that stretch. And then pause and reach any amount over to one side, either both arms reaching or one arm down on the leg. Come back through center, go to the other side, maybe support on the leg. Back to center. Slowly straighten the arms straighten the legs as you lower the arms, turn the toes forward. Ooh. Reach out and either march into center or hop in. If you're hopping, land with bent knees into center. Good. And then come into mountain pose, breathing here. So we just had the legs taken way away from the body, and we want to allow ourselves to kind of harmonize at the midline again and bring ourselves back to that central channel. Take a deep breath in. Take a big sigh out. All right, building on. So we're working towards this. Come on to the top of the mat. Find yourself nice and steady. Inhale, reach up. Exhale for your fold. Raise halfway up, maybe bend the knees for that. Exhale, fold. Come through to plank. Plank, vinyasa, or downward facing dog. Even child's pose could work right here or at any time in the practice. And finding that beautiful breath. From your downward facing dog, we're going to take the ball joints of your feet to touching. Lift your heels high. Turn your heels to the right and your toes to the left. Bend your knees and press your heart back. Maybe you'll feel a stretch on the left side body and a lot of work in the legs. Then we'll come through center, heels lift and turn straight back, and then over to the left, toes to the right. Bend the knees, press the heart back, stretching the right side body. Really root the right palm down. And continue with that, lifting the heels, turning them to the right, knees to the left, bend. Inhale, center, spinning, heels to the left, knees to the right, bend. Back and forth, we're looking again for some heat that top us. As we take these twists, and we come into them in a different way than we're probably used to. So be really careful and be gentle with yourself if this feels awkward. It feels awkward for everyone. One more time, and then back to center. Widen your feet to your classic downward dog positioning. Deep breath in, big sigh out. Now step the left foot in a little bit, right leg reaches, you know where we're going. We're gonna add on. Cross the right toes over to the left. Right leg reaches up. Round in, hanging plank. Right sole of the foot down. Left foot over to the left a little bit more. This time, everyone, even if you didn't last time, lower your left knee. Make sure you scoot your knee far enough back that you feel a stretch. And we'll go back into a twist here. Now you have an option to lift the right arm and stay there. You actually have an option to come down to your forearm or a block under your forearm, left forearm, and stay here. You might reach back and you might bend the back foot into your right hand and roll the shoulders back and open here. This is a very big pose, so it's not necessary to do today. It's just an option. That's why we're slowly working up to it. And then unwind that back foot. Take your arms, whatever position you had, straighten them both up, lift the back knee, come into your plank pose, followed by downward dog, child's, or vinyasa. Not one of those options is better than another, but it might be better for you in the moment just based on your needs. Deep breath in and sigh that out. All right, right foot over to the left. Left leg reaches. Cross the left toes over to the side of the right foot. Lift the left leg up. Hug in and round, lift, 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 and then seal the left foot down. Widen the foot stance a little bit, and then from here, lower your back knee. You might scoot that knee a little further back, and twist. Arm up or back. Right forearm can be down on the ground or a block. Maybe you reach up or back. And then last option, bending the back knee and finding the foot in the hand. So we were working the quads a lot. We were getting blood flow there. So we want to stretch them, which is what this is for precisely. You can always use a strap here or skip this pose. Shoulder blades scoop to the back. A gentle unwinding of the back foot. And one movement at a time, find yourself back in the low lunge. Back into plank, and then last option for Vinyasa is here. And if you want to take 2 full breath cycles in your back bend and maybe add a little twisting, a little side to side, feel free to add a little more time in that back bend. And downward facing dog. From here, this is the last time we will go into Malasana. I hope I didn't already say that. Promise that to you. We're gonna walk back into that Malasana pose. This time we're gonna allow this pose to crumble, okay? So again, this is a really great place to put something under your hips or maybe a blanket under the heels if you can't easily be here. Inhale. And as you exhale, we're gonna crumble a pose. I like to even turn my palms up so I don't feel the need to be rigid and just really let it go and sway the head a little side to side. This opens the entire back body, the whole back channel between the shoulder blades and all the way through the pelvis down to the tailbone. And then activate the pose like you're growing out of you're a turtle growing out of its shell, lengthen. And now we'll slowly collapse down. Maybe sway side to side. And activate. All right. So the way we're going to come out of this is just come a little forward, let the heels lift, and then turn the toes down as we press our knees down, tops of the feet down, child's pose. Because we've had this wide V, open shape in the knees, I recommend letting the inner thighs come close on this child's pose so we get a little more of that length through the lumbar, more rounded rather. And come all the way up. Now, we are going to do a little bit of core stuff, and I don't want you to get it in your head that any part of your body has to lift off of the floor, because it does not, okay? So even if you just activate, you're still doing the work. So you're sitting on the shins here, and conversely, if sitting on your shins doesn't work, you can do this in a seated posture like so. Just however you want to cross-legged, that's just fine. From here, take from the pubic bone to your low ribs to your sternum. Imagine there's a big diamond there. And as you exhale, you're going to press that diamond all the way towards the spine for support as you round the spine. So from here, you're just going to press into the floor, take the torso and head forward, and press into the floor, draw the organs towards the spine, the diamond shape back, lift your knees or pretend that the knees are lifting, but activate, press down into the floor and lift the knees. Tops of the feet are down. If you're in seated, you're just leaning forward and pressing and activating through the core. You can lift even higher, and you can lift your hips if you want, if you're in the kneeling position. And then lower back down and shake it out. Guess what? We're done with that, okay? Bring the legs forward and shake them out. If you want to play with that a little longer, you can. Just pause and join us when you're ready. And especially if you like to work on Tolasana and Lolasana, which are poses that come off of that work. Shake the legs out. And then from here, bring the soles of the feet down to the floor, bend your knees, roll your shoulders back, lift your heart, and get active through those paraspinal muscles. You can stay here, that's plenty, or you can bring your hands behind the thighs, tip back a little bit, and see if the shins will lift, opening the heart for your half boat. If you want a little more activity than that, reach the arms off of the legs, breathe here. If you want even more than that, toes are gonna touch like you did in pigeon or crow or crane, and then knees touch, toes, knees, toes, knees. If that's too much, don't do it. Toes, knees. You might feel this tomorrow in those hip flexors and low core. 3, 2, 1, And done. Come on down onto your back. If you want to hold onto your legs, you can. If you want to release them, you can. Go slower than you think you're capable of. You might surprise yourself. And then because we were just so condensed at those hip flexors, bring your legs forward and your arms back and stretch and wiggle. Press one heel and then the other alternately. And now we'll stay opening that front body and go back into the paraspinal muscles and that posterior chain. Soles of the feet down, knees bent, feet are about hips distance apart. And then start to lift the pelvis here. You'll probably get to a point where you go, yeah, that's about where I need to be, okay? Stay here, or if you feel like you can increase the back bend, I would recommend scooting the shoulder blades underneath first and then increasing any further. Hands can be on the hips, reaching towards the feet, or interlaced behind you. We didn't do a heck of a lot of shoulder opening today, so I would choose something less than interlacing if the shoulders are feeling tight. And optional lift of one heel and lower. Lift of the other heel and lower. So you're trying to keep your pelvis pretty stable and you're doing the lifts and lowers pretty slow. It's not this, fast march. And we're really gonna work those glutes with this movement, this asymmetrical movement. And probably a movement you're not used to doing. All right, 3, 2, 1, you might feel that in the calves too. I know I do. Lift the pelvis equally and exhale, slowly lower the pelvis down. Cross the right ankle to the top of the left knee. Stay here or hug in and interlace the fingers in front or behind the left knee. And breathe and give some stretch to the glutes. You could rock side to side here if you like. Unwind that, cross the other leg on top. Maybe you're staying with the right foot down, or maybe you're drawing in. Movement or no movement. As long as you're breathing, that's enough movement, but you can always add a rock. Relax the jaw, the muscles of the face. And unwind. Take the feet long in front of you again, legs straight, reach up. Do your wiggling, wriggling. Deep breath in, big sigh out. Okay, so you get to come into your favorite twist. I love to do a twist before Shavasana. Now this could be knees stacked, hips to one side, knees to the other. Wherever your knees are pointing, the opposite arm goes palm up in the other direction. Okay, you might do a straight leg with the top knee bent. You might do a cross where you're kind of winding the legs up. Find what you like the best as far as feels the most releasing and the most beneficial. A little bit about that opposite arm. You can take the arm alongside of the ear as long as you're not hiking up through the shoulder. You can take the arm straight out to the side. You can cactus your arm, but just really be sensitive to what you're feeling in the shoulder and the pecs and choose wisely. Come through midline, and whichever twist you did on one side, take it to the other side. And my blanket is right here, and that might be useful to you. If you have a blanket or a block or something, a bolster that you like to put your knee on, you absolutely can. Please do not think that you have to have your entire shoulder and your entire knee on the ground. There's a lot I could go into about that. I'm not going to. There's something you can get from not letting the shoulder come to the ground and letting the knee go, or the shoulder and letting the knee lift, or just reaching and letting them both hover. It's not a one size fits all, and please don't demand that much of your shoulder and spine, especially if it doesn't feel good. So just send breath through the shape you're making. And draw back through midline. Hug in, optional lift of the shoulders and the head. And then come all the way back down. Fix your pigtail if it was coming up. And that's not an instruction we hear all the time. And you're all set for Shavasana. So you can keep your knees bent if that feels good. You can bring your legs long. You can put your blanket or a bolster under your knees. We're going to come into a settling where we allow ourselves to be that liquid, that liquid portion of ourselves a little bit more. So instead of going towards that hardened, rigid portion of our minds and our bodies, see if you can go a little more with the flow of this moment of your life. Easing down, noticing where there might be holdings in the body, and one by one, maybe using the exhalation, letting those go. Hands can go where you want them. I really don't get nitpicky about this because I want this to be the utmost comfort to you. Take one moment and think of something in your space. So wherever you're practicing today, something in your space, could be your whole house or apartment or hotel room, wherever you are, that you're grateful for. Could be someone else. It could be, water. It could be a food item. It could be, your phone that allows you to call your children. Whatever it is, just think of something you're grateful for that's in your proximity. And now, think of something you're grateful for that is not in your proximity. So maybe it's someone that lives further away, or a place that you love to go. Maybe it's, going to the beach or forest, whatever it is. And think of that, something further away, outside of your bubble, that you are grateful for. And marinate on that. And just stay in Shavasana as long as you like. Recognize that there are layers of release that are past the layer you're on if you give yourself time. And you can stay here as long as you'd like. And just pause the video and lay back down and rest. Thank you so much for showing up, for being here, and for choosing my classes. Namaste.